All right, welcome to the Fantasy Trail. This is did we say season 4?
I think it's like 15.
Season 4, episode 2. Right now, it's just myself, Matt, along with JT, and here we go. It's been
Yeah,
quite
it's a
an interesting week.
pretty interesting absence here. Someone was out on the road. We didn't really get a full explanation there as to why our third musketeer is on the fritz. I thought maybe we were
Yeah,
going
well, I
to send the
think,
invite.
I think it went to when we originally said it. We had talked about maybe doing it every other week.
Okay.
I think, and I believe you were the one who brought that up. I think you forgot how much you actually love to do the fantasy trail.
I think where we made our, at least for me, where I made the big difference was we're starting a little earlier, and we cut out the one section. So I think the problem I was running into was that it was leading to a later night than I was looking to get. But anyway,
Yeah,
not the point. We're missing Scarano, and we didn't necessarily extend the invite this time. I think we probably should have, but it got thrown together at the last minute. I don't believe we knew Scarano wasn't going to join.
yeah. But that's all right. We're trying some different formats. That being said, we're trying some different formats with the podcast too. I would really like to know how you listen to this. If you listen to this, I know there's 12 people in the league. I know there's probably 4 of us that listen, 5 consistently. There's probably more who just aren't as vocal about it. But so right now we publish on YouTube and iTunes, but I was actually thinking about trying to set it up so it goes to Stitcher, and some of the other, like Spotify, some of the other podcast providers.
Do you feel like that would be one of the reasons why people aren't? I mean, aren't most people? I mean, I guess everybody, if you got an Android or something, right?
Yeah. So I mean, but you listen to what you're comfortable with. So I was just wondering if that's something that's worth it to invest my time in figuring out how to switch it to other podcasts. I got an idea how to do it, but I've never done it. So
Let's think of it like this: Jake's the only one who has an Android, so I think that question is directed towards one person because otherwise everyone has the podcast app.
okay.
At least to me, that's what makes the most sense. But you do whatever you do, man. It worked good. Once you helped me out with the re-download last week, I scanned through just to test it out. It sounded all good to me.
Yeah, that was actually funny because when I downloaded it from Skype, it didn't download the first time for me, and I spent like maybe an hour playing with it trying to get it to work, and it just didn't. And then I like, oh, let me just re-download it, and then easy peasy.
Oh man, that's frustrating. Well, speaking of frustrating, you want to talk about the week?
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull it up right now, and my phone decided not to work.
That's
Who
good.
do you want to look at first?
Well, we had obviously one clear marquee matchup. So how about we save that one for last, and we start with some of the ones that maybe weren't as tip top, and we go. I'm thinking Jake versus Angela.
Okay. Let me just pull it
While you're
up.
pulling it up, I'll give you the rundown that I'm seeing here. The 2 scores that would have been beaten by most people in the league. Jake pulls out the W though, his second win in a row after a pretty solid first week. A 120 this week, not as good. And Angela, after a very solid week the first week, puts up a 112. And it was something I paid special attention to because I would have beaten her by 0.4 of a point if we had been playing against each other, as we are this week. So it was on my mind. But do you have it up in front of you?
Yeah, I do. With Jake, I think he's got to be nervous with Michael Thomas. It could really help him with Michael Thomas. It could hurt him. Freeman's been disappointing. Beckham's had an amazing game. So that helps. Mac looks like he's not going to play. And I wonder if he's nervous about Josh Gordon at all.
I would be nervous about Josh Gordon, but I would also be nervous if I was an Antonio Brown owner. And I would say that your odds of Josh Gordon vaulting back up, it could be week to week.
Yeah, he's got some potential. It looks like Connor's going to play, so that hurts the Samuel pickup.
I think
Eckler,
the Hardman pickups is still a solid one.
yeah, but I mean, do you know if he's going to be the guy this week, or like that could very easily be a hit or miss situation.
You don't, but I take my chances with the guy that throws 450 yards and 4 touchdowns every week being maybe to one of my guys.
Yeah. Angela's had a pretty disappointing week all the way around, except for Zach Ertz. And I mean, really, that was a crazy game.
Yeah.
Just the number of injuries.
Very crazy in fantasy and crazy in regular life because it cost some people, as we'll see in a second, with the Deshaun Jackson injuries.
Yeah, but I think he's going to be in for a huge target in the coming weeks. Sorry, JT. And McCaffrey, I mean, that was a crazy game. I mean, he looked before the rain delay.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest shocks I think we've seen all year. At home against a middling at best Tampa Bay team, and he puts up a 7 or a top 3 pick here. That's astoundingly bad.
And honestly, Angela's got a very solid bench.
Yeah, see, I don't know if I feel that way. I don't know if I feel that way at all. I think Robbie Anderson is meh. Who knows? Especially with Darnold out.
Yeah.
McCoy, okay, but again, very injury prone and splitting. Hyde also splitting.
Yeah, but Hyde looked a lot better than anyone thought he was going to look.
I think he looked fine, but he's averaging 8 points a game for the first 2 weeks, so I'm not blown away just yet. Trubisky, a solid 5.5 last week. That's not great. And Deshaun Hamilton may get some run with Sutton out, but I don't love Flacco throwing to anybody right now, other than maybe Sanders.
Okay.
I don't know. I as always, I'm not as worried about the initial players. It's what happens when some of those guys get hurt. What happens when some of those guys perhaps need to be dropped? Are the moves made? The answer right now is yes, because she made the move of dropping and picking up. She got Robinson, which was a really good move on her part.
Yeah.
I'm worried she's going to put him in.
It was very interesting because she made 2 waiver claims, which, normally you don't see. I mean, you had not seen her making waiver claims.
That's 2 more than all of last year for all 17 weeks.
Yeah, so 2 in 1 week. So that was interesting. All right, moving on. Let's go to Rich losing to Rachel. 96.1 to 136.
Yeah, I think that's a solid week for Rachel, but obviously Rich didn't really put up much of a fight. Jeffrey going out doesn't help, but he didn't have a chance anyway.
Yeah, and it's like I feel bad for Rich because really no one on his team showed up besides Brady.
Yeah. Again, how weird is it that Kamara puts up a 7? A top 3 pick. We had 2 top 3 picks put up less than 10 points in the same week with pretty favorable matchups. Breeze going down or not, he's the dump off pass guy. He's the garbage touchdown guy. I
think McCaffrey's more of a surprise because they will use McCaffrey as an actual running back, whereas Kamara, they don't have him just run into the line over and over again as much as some of the other like Saquon or McCaffrey.
But he's just, I mean, he got picked ahead of McCaffrey for a reason. So I think that's, I don't know, whatever. But more,
Rich has Debo on his bench. He's looked really good, and then Freeman's actually looked better. I think he's looked better than Lindsey.
Yeah, I do too, which is surprising because Lindsey was my stud for the second half of last year. I'd be worried if I were Rich here, though, because, I guess you throw in Debo for Trey Quinn, but I just don't love – I think Cook takes a huge hit with Breeze going out.
Did he drop Big Ben?
Yeah, I think he did.
Okay.
I mean, I have to look at I'll look at it now, but it's I don't know. His team's not going to be looking as good because he was very New Orleans heavy there.
Yeah. Rachel's got to worry. I mean, you follow Buffalo closer than I do. Is Singletary going to play, you think?
Very up in the air. Didn't practice today. And I'm looking now. He did not drop Big Ben just yet. So no, I apologize. He did. He did about 3 hours ago, and he picked up Stafford, which I think is a good move.
I
That's
mean,
a perfect
playing the
serve.
Eagles, yeah, real good move.
Yeah. Yeah, Singletary, I don't know. I was watching the game when he got hurt. The game was really for the most part, out of hand. And they just ran him on the sideline untouched. He got up, walked off on his own, but you hate those non-contacts. And definitely, just a hammy pull. Just not sure how serious it was.
Yeah. And then Rachel, if I was Rachel, I might actually trade Prescott to Casey.
I think she tried. From what I understand, she absolutely tried. And Casey didn't like what was being offered.
So
We'll get to Casey in a minute, but before we do, what do you think of Rachel's team? I know she came out gangbusters in the first week. She came back down to earth a little bit this week. Still would have beat a couple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams. So it's 8 teams. So definitely one of the better scores.
I think maybe not right this second, but I think she might be one of the deepest running back teams. If Gordon actually comes back, you assume Coleman's going to come back. I mean, Penny's looking good. Mike Davis
and 18. So she really had. I mean, she had a really good week.
Yeah. I mean, Breida looks good. I mean, of course, when Coleman comes back, that hurt Breida, but
yeah.
No, she's definitely solid and definitely up there in the top half of the league.
So I think it's so fascinating that with that in mind, we look at running backs so differently. We went from like they don't matter to they matter so much to we're kind of swinging back and forth on the pendulum. Do you think it matters what time of year it is as to how much they matter?
I think a lot of it has to depend on your quantity, because you are going to have the running back injuries, and I mean the way I look at my team is I am so weak in receiver, and looking at Rachel's team, I mean Devontae Adams, absolute stud, probably one of the best receivers out there. But then Tyler Boyd, I don't trust. Westbrook, I mean, he just didn't need one reception for a slot guy.
He's in trouble with Minshew, it seems like, but
I mean, almost part of it, you need to have the high volume guys, and that's where I really messed up in my drafting this year. Last year I spent a lot of time looking at target rate, and I didn't do any of that this year.
Gotcha.
And I just something I just overlooked.
Yeah, well, that's why I think she's trying to make the move. I think she could.
It almost sounded like she was. Trade her.
Yeah.
Was she trying to run back or a receiver? Because I think she needs a receiver.
But she thinks she needs a running back. Maybe take away Singletary. She's got only Breida to play. So I understand her concern until some of these guys maybe come back healthy.
No, I think she could play Penny.
I guess him and Carson splitting time.
And then I mean, really, I don't know what Gordon's doing because I don't think he's going to get his money. I think he's just wasting time.
Well, if he comes back, I think we have to consistently rank Rachel as one of the top squads because she's already doing really well, and that's without a potential first-round pick.
All right. Let's go to Scarano's matchup. Scarano lost to Colin, 129 to 112. Neither of these teams, both on the lower half of the league. Colin I think he was 6th or 7th, or 7th or 8th in scoring. Barkley looked great for him. Chris Godwin looked great. Yeah. I mean, even 20 points out of Chubb, but like the OJ Howard killed him. Deshaun Watson putting up a 13 killed him. And then I think Chris Carson really hurt him, only putting up a 10. And then he's got to probably be nervous about Edelman. Who knows what with Antonio Brown what's going to happen.
Very true. Howard I wouldn't worry too much like that. Edelman, it's a 43-0 blowout. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Do you have any concern at all about Watson, or is that just going against a good defense?
I think it's just, but when everyone says he's, a top 5 quarterback and he might end up the year But honestly, when you're part of what you're looking for when you're looking at your top players is consistency. I
Yeah.
mean,
Is Jack
Josh
just
Allen
a
put up
great defense
like
though?
those
It's
3 weeks
so
where
awesome.
he was, top quarterback in fantasy last year, and then I played him or someone played him and he put up like a 7. Like you can't have that and consistently want to win in this league.
Yeah.
Huge score outliers are not going to help you win consistently.
Yeah. I hear you. I don't like Cousins. I think he's a Watson play every week.
Yeah, I mean, but I think Cousins, if he didn't want to leave Cousins out there on the waiver wire, it's easy bye week fill-in. It'll give you a decent score. I think the Vikings have underplayed, and their receivers are only going to get better, which I know will help you.
Yeah, that'd be fine with me.
And Scarano.
I love the Metcalf move for him. I think that was a great waiver pick. He looked good last week, a nice 15. That could be a star with Russell Wilson thrown to him. I really like the way Beasley's been playing. He's a good possession receiver. He may not get a lot of touchdowns, but he could be a consistent 12 every week.
I honestly thought Beasley would have more touches at this point, and I don't know if that's just.
I think it's been the 2 games that they played. Both of them were odd games. The Giants one was kind of a 21-7 for a long time, and they were running the ball. In the second half, they barely threw it. And then in the other game, Allen turned the ball over 72 times.
Yeah. Moving on, Scarano, Russell Wilson puts up a 27, which Russell, and you love Russell Wilson. He was one of your favorite quarterbacks.
Yeah, for a couple years
early in his career, but he always started out slow.
Mm-hmm.
And this year he has not. He's 9th overall ranked. I mean, he's putting up good scores. I wonder if he's really going to turn it on later in the year because they probably have more weapons this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what more would you want. Turn it on. 27 sounds great. A weird little subplot. Both teams with a 0 at tight end. That's kind of odd. I know the Njoku one was that horrible injury.
That serves Scarano for trying to trade his tight end. And
listen, I made an offer. I really did, and it was not the greatest offer, but it was pretty fair. And I tried to get Hawkinson or whatever to see if he was more than just a fluke, and the 1.7 says he might have been.
Yeah, so I wonder how nervous Scarano is knowing that Njoku is going to be out a couple weeks.
Yeah, and he lost Njoku. He lost Gallup. He did make a move to pick up Cobb as a replacement for that. But he's got to get Mixon back at full strength. And
but I think that hurt him that Mixon played because Bernard would get. I think if Mixon hadn't played, Bernard would have had a better game.
Yes, agreed. And he couldn't take the risk of taking both of them. But I have to admit, I keep thinking that Derrick Henry just isn't that good, and I keep waiting for him to be bad again, and he just won't do it.
Yeah. And how many touchdowns does Diggs have called back last week?
Diggs? Oh, Diggs, yeah. I don't know. I celebrated one.
And one of them was like a 75-yarder. I mean,
yeah, a bomb. Yeah, that's tough. I don't know. The Cowboys D, you think, puts up better than a 1. Yeah. Gallup getting hurt, he might have put up a little more. Njoku give a little more. Give Diggs his touchdown. And Scarano's right there in it. Just again, as a side note, I would have beat him by half a point. So there were 2 teams I would have beat by less than 1. And it really would have been enjoyable to do that. But no.
All right. Let's go on to the next matchup. I beat Casey 130.7 to 118.4.
This is way too close considering he got a negative score from his quarterback.
Yeah, it was. He got a negative score from his quarterback, but honestly, it's not. I thought Newton was going to have a big game, and he just, again, before that rain delay, he looked like he was going to, and then.
I don't know. I think he's just done, man. He looks horrible.
6 for 7 for 40 something yards. I mean, not great, but
6 completions for 40 yards sums up why he's done. He can't throw the ball down the field. He's got no shoulder strength. Now he's in a boot. He looks about 30 pounds lighter. he. I think this is a blessing for you that he's going out because it takes the choice out of there. He's so tempting because we still think of him as the great Cam, and I don't think he's anywhere near that anymore.
Yeah. Aaron Jones, love Aaron Jones. Although,
hated Aaron Jones last week. You absolutely hated him.
Although I'm really annoyed because early on there was a little passing touchdown that went to Williams, and I'm like, that should have been Aaron Jones in there.
I love him. You were texting me last week complaining how awful he was.
Yeah. No. Woods. This was Woods' lowest score since like 2000, like the beginning of 2017. So, look.
Yeah. Well, you gotta be happy with Bell. Bell putting up a really good score with 3 points on the board. That's impressive. Nice to have Kelsey come back. Jones doing great for you. I think where your worry is like that those other flex spots. You're hammering those running backs, and Williams with that injury, and then Sanders just not doing much. I think you're going to be making some shifted moves.
Oh, I definitely am. McLaren, I'm glad I picked him up last week.
Mm-hmm.
He might be the steal of my team, all said and done by the end of the year. Because, like I said, my biggest concern was my wide receivers.
Right. Yeah, I can see why. I think Woods will come out of it and be fine. I think Samuel's in trouble though if it's whatever his name is there back at quarterback, guy I did not recognize, Kyle Allen.
Who did he beat out though? He beat out somebody in college.
Yeah, he beat out Will Greer or whatever for the back. Like, I don't know. I'm not counting on that being good. I think Carolina is in some serious trouble. I think that hurts McCaffrey.
I don't know. If he can throw downfield, it's better for Samuel than what Newton was doing. So
yeah, that's a big if. We'll see. Casey. Wow, that's a rough week.
Yeah.
He's already had a really rough start. He has Connor go out hurt. He has Breeze go out hurt. He's already got Tyreek out hurt. That's a lot to sustain. I'm amazed he put up the score he did, considering what happened.
Well, you know where it happened. Most of it happened after Big Ben went out, and it went all the passes went to Vance McDonald.
Great Vance, yeah.
And then Kirk had a good late burst too.
Yep. Yeah. So. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing if I'm him. He's got some major choices because Hill's looking at a few more weeks. Jameis Winston is your quarterback. That can't feel great.
But who's Winston playing? They're playing Arizona this week?
No, I don't think they're playing Arizona, are they? Maybe you're right. Giants.
They have Giants. Good match. It's a great matchup. It was a great matchup last week.
It is. It's a good matchup. There's no doubt. But the great matchup last week still only produced 14.
I think where he has to be patient is with Drake because who knows if he gets traded, if that will actually help.
I guess. I don't know. I'm worried for Casey's future because I'm not sure what avenue he takes. I think he's got a shot to trade away some of his big names potentially and try and get guys that can help him now, or he can try and sit on it and see if those guys come back. But he's 0-2. Like, how long do you sit on it and wait for those guys to come back? If he pulled out a win or two, then maybe you sit. But to be 0-2, and
yeah, I think he'll be middle of the pack for the most part, week to week. Up there, not quite the lowest, but I don't think
how long do you wait? I know those guys are obviously really good, but you might have to trade them for a little less if you need guys now. I don't know what I'd do if I were him. I don't have a good answer, but
and then once the buys start, that's a whole nother issue he's going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people just talking about putting Breeze on, waiving him.
I would understand that at this point.
So,
all right, well, we'll see. But he's 0-2, and that kind of secretly makes me a little bit happy, just because of all the smacky talk.
All right, now up to the big matchup of the week.
No,
the Battle of the Everests.
Oh,
well,
I thought we'd skip this one.
132 to 112.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. After going up for 160, I thought I made the right move by putting Rivers in against Detroit. They looked awful against Arizona. And then I looked at Kyler, who was going against at Baltimore. And I thought, rookie on the road, cross country, that didn't seem smart. Kyler obviously did better than Rivers. Neither one of them would have won me the week. David Johnson leaves with an injury, ends up with an 8. Mark Ingram leaves with an injury, ends up with a 9. Vernon Davis leaves with an injury, ends up with a 6. Yeah, injuries are a part of it. I can't complain, especially compared to like the Casey. But I would like to think that if I had a normal week from all three of those guys, it'd be another 20 points, and I might have won.
Yeah, I mean, and looking at Joelle's team, she didn't really have a great week anywhere.
No, solid, just solid top to bottom, and nobody bombed. The defense was the worst one, and that wasn't horrible. But
well, I mean, I think her receivers let her down. 16 points.
Okay.
2 starting receivers.
Yeah, I understand, but so Sutton may not be a starter. You put Antonio Brown up there. I think she made some really gutsy moves. She benched, some guys that she was really on the fence about, and the DJ Chark and Marquise Brown, those are unproven rookie wide receivers, and she put them both in, and 17-19 is pretty solid from those guys.
I don't know when she drafted Brown, but I think that great pickup in the draft.
I can look right now. That was in the 12th round. So nice late move, and he's been a stud thus far. And then she picked in the 16th round, Chalk, who's also looked really good and just caught a touchdown, by the way.
Okay.
I didn't even have the game. I just from opening his stats saw that.
Is that 3 weeks in a row now? That's 3 weeks.
I believe that is 3 weeks in a row, and I don't know if I think she kept him in. I'm pulling it up now. I did not have the scoreboard going. Yes, it looks like she did. He is in, 1 catch, 22 yards, touchdown. So that guy, that's been quite a move.
Yeah, it's been pretty good for her.
Yeah, right now she's got Carry-On back in. She took out Cortland Sutton, and she's got Ebron out with. Oh no, that
was a lucky touchdown catch she had.
Yeah, the ballsy move she's making right now is she's got Peyton Barber in over Allen Robinson,
which
that seems like a stretch.
Yeah.
Anyway, if I were her, I'm not feeling that bad. She's got Zeke back. Matt Ryan's a very serviceable quarterback with the luck going down. Antonio Brown coming back so quickly and on a good team is a great boost to her.
He ran 14 routes and had 8 catches, something like that.
Yeah, they were targeting him big time. I would just be worried about if he's gonna stay there. But look at her bench. Outside of Richard, it's 17, 16, 12, 11.
Yeah, it's solid.
Guys that she can put in.
I would take any of her receivers. Not Sutton.
Mine, and it's 0, 0.6 of a point. Like, I need some help.
I'm assuming you're going with Kyler this week.
Yeah, I got him back in right now, and beyond that, I don't know. I have Eifert in instead of Davis. I hate both my tight ends.
What do you think about Danny Dimes? You think that's going to help Ingram or help you with Tate when he comes back in 2 weeks?
Who?
Daniel Jones. Danny Dimes.
That's a horrible nickname.
Oh, that's a wonderful nickname.
I don't think it matters. I think being the number 1 and number 2 receiver on the Giants is going to get a lot of targets because they're always going to be down. I think Tate is a flyer. I'm not counting on him doing a ton. Currently, I don't think I'd even start him if he were back right now. I don't love my squad, but I just picked up Gore and put him in, thinking that Singletary might not be playing. So we'll see. I don't hate my squad. It was a weird week. I had 3 guys leave for chunks of time. They all came back, interestingly enough. So nothing long term, but they all missed at least like a quarter. So it's not the best way to go. That brings us to our last week.
Highest scoring matchup of the
all time, maybe.
Yeah. Brian put up a 182. Michael Thomas put up a 202. Close to the high
That's
score.
the progressive scoring that I don't know what is. Brian would have destroyed every other team in the entire league and gets a loss.
Absolutely. You know, but Brian's score, while it's a great score, no matter how you look at it, I think it is a little bit deceiving. Um, Lamar Jackson, 30 points, 33 points, great. Dalvin Cook, 28 points, great. Mark Andrews, 25 points, great. But his defense put up 32 points.
Yeah, I mean, that's a smart move. He picked him up off the waivers.
I mean, absolutely, but I mean, it's not. I I don't know. I don't think it's.
Obviously, it's not sustainable, but let's say we balance it out by Deshaun Jackson getting a 10. You drop that to a 20. That's a more reasonable one.
Well,
And
absolutely,
the same score.
yeah. I mean,
And look at Hopkins, man. Hopkins got a 9. That's a weird game too.
but
So,
I mean, even Josh Jacobs. I mean, you would have thought. I thought he would have had more than a.
and then a 10. Yeah. So
I mean, he could have had a real big game, but I mean, he didn't. It wasn't nearly as big as.
yeah,
Game.
I know. And we'll talk about Michael in a second, but to me, Brian's team scares me the most, even though he just lost to Michael. Though Lamar looks fantastic right now. Mark Andrews it looks like one of the steals for sure. Cook looks back 100%, and he got him a little later. And then he's got one of the best receivers. Cooper Kupp, a great possession receiver. Good rookie with Jackson. Tyrell Williams looks like a really nice move. And then he's got Montgomery, who I still think is going to end up being the number one back.
But you know what? He's dealing with a lot of injuries this week. Tyrell Williams will probably play, but he is injured. Jackson won't play, and Jackson's probably going to be until week 5. I think that's what they're targeting.
He's replaceable though. He was a waiver wire pick.
Josh Jacobs is practicing but injured. And honestly, like Lamar Jackson, Dalvin Cook have been some of the best players in fantasy this year.
Yeah.
I would be nervous about both of them being. I would love both of them on my team, but having them on my team,
I don't know. Cook had almost 2 years to come back from that, and Lamar, man, I don't know. It's tough to. We'll see how many more weeks he can do it, but looks darn good. He's got a tasty matchup this week too.
Now Michael has Mahomes, and
Yes.
I know one of the big things is, weight on quarterback. Quarterback's deep. The difference between the top quarterback is not that much different than the lower quarterback. But I'm almost saying that's wrong because, I mean, you look at consistently, they've put up some of the highest scores in our league this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's only 2 weeks, but those are probably the top two. Those are the top 2 fantasy quarterbacks so far this year.
And they're the top 2 scoring teams in our league, and it's not the only reason, but those 2 guys are absolutely carrying the quarterback load there. Now, Lamar's 1, Mahomes is 3. Can you name who number 2 is? I couldn't off the top of my head. It was weird. I had to look it up, and when I did, I went, "Oh,
Brady?
What's that?"
Is it Brady?
Brady's a good guess. Brady is was he even drafted?
Brady? Yeah, he was drafted.
Was he drafted?
He probably shouldn't have been, knowing what we knew at the draft, but
Brady's a good guess. He's not far off. There's somebody else who's number 2.
Not Jimmy G.
No, it's even better. Casey would love it.
Oh, Dak.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that has to do just with the matchup. I think.
But look at to our point, Tamala. 3 of the top scoring in the league.
Yeah.
And they all have the top scoring quarterbacks. And I know it's only through 2 weeks, but I would give you $10 right now if you can name the 5th highest quarterback behind Jackson, Prescott, Mahomes, and Brady in 2 guesses.
Matt Ryan.
Very good guess. Keep guessing. Need it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Who is it?
Oh, Andy Dalton. Not Andy Dalton.
That's not
Josh Allen.
No, these are interesting. It's Case freaking Keenum. Oh my gosh. We have two quarterbacks in the top 10 scoring that are both on the waiver wire. What in the world? What a weird league.
But do you think this will change your strategy with drafting at all?
And that's what's fascinating, right? Because a minute ago I'm asking, are running backs more valuable than I thought? And how can receivers be not as valuable, but running backs are more valuable? Is it just they're spreading the ball around? Because these quarterbacks are putting up incredible numbers.
Well, see, part of it is we have the different quarterbacks scoring than standard leagues.
We
I
do.
think
That's true.
sometimes we forget that, but as long as it's applied to all quarterbacks, they say it doesn't matter.
Right. That's right. And that's the key there, right? It's universal. But I don't know. If I'm Michael Thomas, I'm feeling fantastic. I absolutely love the way that his team's looking. And I was very skeptical. I had no faith in Todd Gurley coming back healthy. Julio's trick or treat when it comes to touchdowns. I didn't have any faith in Greg Olson. Fournette was such an anger-inducing man for me last year that I didn't like him. Eckler, he took a flyer. For all he knew, Gordon was going to sign, and now Eckler's dropping 20 a week.
Yeah.
So he's got Sterling Shepard coming back this
And
week.
he picked he got Ross off the waiver. First of all, I don't understand why I was 12th on the waiver priority that first week because I didn't have the first pick.
Oh, I have no idea. I think I would imagine it's just randomized.
I thought it went in reverse order from the draft.
I don't think so because I don't know. I truly don't know. We'd have to look it up. But he's got Emmanuel Sanders and Sterling Shepard on his bench. I mean, if you're looking for a guy to trade a receiver with, he's got Julio, Galladay, John Ross, Shepard, and Sanders. Those are all 5 starting receivers. They're all number ones.
But he does not. I mean, he has Fournette, and I guess he has Eckler too. But if Gordon comes,
how long? What if Gordon signs tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it changes his team. But ride it as far as you can. That's all you need. And
yeah, I think he's got bench depth though with Shepard and Sanders, where he can take that hit. I don't know. Olsen could take a little hit with Cam going down. I still feel great about Gurley. I still worry about him. Obviously, they're giving the touchdowns to Brown
But see, they're not. I mean, they're letting Brown work 2 series, and it's if they happen to be in the red zone, they're in the red zone during that. I mean, because I have Brown on my team, so I've been kind of paying attention to kind of
I'm watching too. Gurley's got 1 touchdown. He's got 2.
And that's why I was kind of hoping.
Yeah, but Gurley's not really involved in the passing game at all. And 15 carries a game is fine, but I think that's what's going to stay. And for a number 1 back, that's tough.
All right, so let's move on to rankings.
Yeah, hit me with the standings.
All right, number 12.
Yes,
Casey,
really?
Yeah, Casey. He was ranked 11, 12, and 12.
Yeah, I didn't have him last.
So I guess we know which one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first to tell you. I thought there was a worse team out there, and I'm honestly mostly ranking him back there because of the injuries. But I'm very surprised that others didn't see the team that I had 12th as the worst one.
Well, okay, so Scarano, I love you, but 3 weeks now, Scarano has not put it in a ranking.
Ooh, weak sauce.
Yeah, I mean, so I think maybe we should turn Scarano into 12th.
I mean, listen, I'm looking at it like this. Casey's got 40 more points than the person I ranked 12th and has had more points scored against him. Not by much, by 5 or 6. And that's a key.
But I'm looking at Casey's injuries and
him too. But even with Casey's injuries, I still think he's got a better team than the team I put 12, which he has to be 11.
Which is ranked number 11, and that would be Rich.
Yeah.
I think Rich has had some bad luck. I don't know necessarily how much. I mean, I think he would have lost regardless last week, even if Jeffrey had been announced out before like the first snap of the game.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Okay. Well, those are the bottom 2 teams. I think we all agreed on that. It starts to get a little interesting in 10 through 9. 10 through 8, excuse me. Those were a little harder for me.
Next is actually Scarano, and he was ranked 10th, 7th, 10th.
Ooh, interesting. I wonder if he was kind to himself. Oh wait, no, he didn't rank himself.
Yeah, so, he's dealing with it now. This is where I think it's a little bit funny. Angela comes in at number 9, and she was ranked 8th, 10th, 8th.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with that yet. I she's doing fine. I think she's absolutely doing fine. She is 6th in points, but she hasn't had very many points against her. She's 4th least points against. She caught a little lucky break this last week. I don't know.
And so this one's going to make you mad because this deviates from your rankings quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
That would be the curse of the kicker.
Yeah.
9th comes in at 7th.
Yeah.
After being ranked 9th, 4th.
Ooh. Yeah, who had him at 4th?
You'll have to, look at the rankings and see. I mean, it's quite interesting.
I would imagine it is.
Look, I don't feel great about my team, but I will say I was in the top half of the league in scoring last week.
Yeah, after not being anywhere near it the first week, and I'm not ever going to give up on you, Tamala, but I'm waiting for you to start making more moves, and I don't think the guys are out there necessarily, but I think you got a lot of chess pieces to move around before I feel confident with your team.
Yeah, I think a lot of even with I know Geis is hurt, but even with Sanders, I was expecting them not more of an October, November feel for
running backs. I got you. And I think there's still time for that, but I think you've had some underperformances. I think your quarterback is a little questionable right now. And I love seeing you have question marks. Let me be honest with you. I love seeing you have question marks. It's just fun.
All right.
Notice how quickly he moves on.
Moving on, we have the team that beat you this past week. Joelle comes in at number 6 because her husband ranks her the lowest at 7. She's ranked 7th, 6th, and 5th.
Okay, so I ranked her the lowest by 1 spot.
2.
Well, but compared to the other team, I was 1 below. Yeah, that's all about right. The middle of the pack's very hard to discern.
But honestly, for the worst luck going into the season, I mean, she's doing incredibly well.
I agree. She's had, her and Casey easily have the worst starts, and she's got to win, and he does not. So,
yeah. Next, we have Jake coming in 5th with another close ranking, 5, 4th, 6th.
Okay, I think he'd take that. His team is doing fine. He's got 2 wins, but his points are 7th in the league. I mean, he's not thrilled with that. He's had a weak points against, 3rd least points against. So I think he's taken advantage of the teams he's played against, and that's fine. Get your wins where you can get them, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be concerned about his running back situation. Looks like
Freeman does not look good.
So we'll see what happens there. That might hurt his rankings going forward.
Yeah.
Next, coming in 4th, we have Rachel. 4th,
like that.
7. So you can imagine who ranked her number 1.
I can. Yeah.
Looking back at this, maybe she's actually a little bit lower. You know what? I totally skipped you.
Yeah, you did. I was just gonna let that slide. That's fine.
All right. Well, you were ranked number 8th, way behind me.
Okay.
All right. So Rachel's number 4. Moving on to number 3.
To bolster Rachel's argument, if she wants to make one, it's that she's 3rd most points in the league, and that she's absolutely 2 weeks in a row put up a good score that would beat almost everybody else. The first week, a great score. The second week, a very good score. The argument against her is that, and I know we've had this argument a million times about how you can't control it, but the teams she's playing against have scored by far the least points in the league.
Yeah.
If you look at the difference between her and Brian has faced 100 and 42 more points than her, which is astounding through 2 weeks. 70 more points a week.
Well, but a lot of that has to do with him playing Michael Thomas too.
Yeah, but the first team he played put up 160 against him too.
Yeah.
So he's had two crazy ones. And if Rachel had played one of those, she'd be 1-1 just like he was. So yeah, I think her team's very good. I trade with her in a minute, but she does have the benefit of playing two very weak squads.
Next, we have Colin at number 3.
Mm-hmm.
3-5-3. And then this, I think, is the biggest shock of the rankings. Michael Thomas comes in at number 2.
I think that's where I put him. Why am I supposed to put him number 1 just because he had one fantastic week? Brian had the great fantastic week the week before.
Yeah, well, I mean, you go head to head. I mean, you have a head-to-head matchup. You would like to think.
Yeah, if they were actually playing against each other and one could stop the other, that would make sense. But considering that the scores have absolutely nothing to do with each other, I'm looking at Brian putting up 380 points over 2 weeks and Michael putting up 340.
Yeah, and
20 points a week, man. 20 more points a week is legit.
So Michael was ranked 2, 3, and 1. And then Brian, who came in number 1, was ranked 1, 2, and 2.
I mean, that doesn't even seem all that close to me. I think the people are right. I would absolutely say those are the 2 top teams. I think Rachel is right behind them. I think Colin is very close to that as well. I think those are clearly the top 4. And even though Jake has 2 wins, the rest of us there in the middle are a bunch. I think Casey's in trouble with injuries. Rich is in trouble with just depth. And Scarano will be fine. He might even be in that middle bunch. But I do not see much more than those 4 as like the clear-cut standouts right now.
Okay.
It's very early, and a ton can change, as we saw with Casey's injuries and various retirements we've seen. But
yeah, so far throughout the start of the year, it's looking like 25% of the starting quarterbacks for what we're assuming your starting quarterbacks are not going to be starting in week 3.
Wow. That's and that's with the league doing everything possible to protect them.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, I have a quick in honor of Scarano, an interesting, not a hot take, but just a more of a take in general. I just think I was talking with my my gym teacher about this, and this was before the news on Big Ben came out or any of the official news on Breeze, and it was just kind of it was fascinating to really see a passing of the torch. You know, we've got Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen as 3 of our best running quarterbacks. And we were told for so long, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's just not a thing. And those guys are, clearly putting up fantastic numbers, some running more than others. And then you've got some of your old stalwarts, your Big Ben, your Josh Allen, your Cam Newtons, and all 3 of those, I said Josh Allen, but I meant Drew Brees. Those guys might not play. And for any one of them, this could be the end of their career. Like we may not just not see them again this season. We may never see them again. That's very possible. So 3 names that have been drafted as great quarterbacks for years are potentially gone. And then you got Mahomes, who nobody even knew for sure last year. Jackson, who people still thought could be a running back going into last year. And Allen, who I had a ton of derision for when they drafted him. And that's the league. Do you think that's what the league becomes now? Is it less of that drop back quarterback, or do people zig and zag? Does it not have a consistency? Where are you at with that?
I don't think it necessarily matters, but I think what you have to look at though is Mahomes sat for a year. They tried their hardest to sit Lamar for a year.
Right.
I mean, he played, but then they didn't even really let him play. They let him run last year.
Right. And they didn't have an offense built around him.
So, I mean, I think that's what you have to go for your, one, let them learn, because the college offense is nothing like the NFL offense.
Right. I mean, even with Allen played last year, but he missed a bunch of games, didn't start the season. And, so he's got that second year too. So it is interesting, but those seem to be the ones that you really want to target. Get that second-year quarterback that's had an opportunity to get learned, but still young.
Yeah, I mean, but like they knew Mahomes was going to be. It's not like he was some random backup. But I think a lot of it, I mean, just shows the importance of a coach. Andy Reid, like he's been able to have a quarterback wherever he's gone.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know. It's just fascinating to see some of the new ones coming in. The Kyler Murray's looking like he's going to be pretty good, and you got some other ones that like Rodgers, another old one where you're like, does he still have it? Is he still a top quarterback? Rivers, does he still have it? I don't know. These guys have been on our fantasy radar for 15 years. It's been years and years and years for a lot of these guys, and now we're kind of finally at the point. Eli, we're saying goodbye to.
Do you realize Rivers has never missed a game since his year?
I do remember that from having him last year and hearing that.
That's crazy. That's almost the reason to have him on your bench right there as your backup.
Right. He's at least going to be there unless it's a bye week.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that was just kind of my thought. I'm sitting there thinking about some names that I've seen for so many years suddenly disappearing.
All right. Well, this has been the Fantasy Trail, and we will see you guys next week.
Sounds good. Later, everybody.